Hello and welcome to Center for Victory's podcast of Your Best Day Yet. At Center for Victory, we're here to help unlock, reinforce, and enrich relationships through personal and professional development. I'm Eric Guy, the Chief Victory Officer here. Today, a very special guest, Robert Cujo Teschner, is with us. I am going to jump right in here because this is a very busy man, and I want to get his introduction of himself because he has a fantastic story and some things he's going to be sharing with us today that I think you all like and appreciate. So Cujo, go ahead and introduce yourself, where you've been and what you do now. But man, tell us your story, please.
Yeah, well, thank you, Eric. It's great to be here with you. Quick story. I'm a husband. I'm a father of 5, 16, 13, 10, 7, and 4. That's the tribe. I've been blessed to have had colorectal cancer. That particular disruption caused our family to become closer, caused us to really emphasize the importance of building a family team and making that our primary team, our true focus. I also was incredibly fortunate to get the chance to live my childhood dream. I had the opportunity to fly fighter aircraft, F-15s, F-22s in our nation's Air Force. Got a chance to see the world as a result of that and learn what teamwork really means, and spend about 25 years focusing on learning how to lead teams. And so all of that is an incredibly rich background that I'm very, very thankful for on so many levels, Eric, so many levels.
Yeah. And, one of the things that maybe you can get into a little bit today for us, and I already told you I'd love to have you back because I love your story. And just for those that are listening or watching, we haven't met that long ago. We were introduced by a mutual friend, and that mutual friend told me, he's like, Eric, you have to meet this guy, right? And he doesn't say that very often, but he's like, you got to meet. I think you have a lot of synergy with Cujo. But you one of the things that you said that just kind of threw me off a little bit here is that you were blessed with colon rectal cancer. I've never heard really anybody say that they've been blessed with cancer. And I know a little bit about that because we've talked before, and you've had some things removed that has made it even a little bit more difficult for you, but blessed. I mean, why do you help me understand why you say it that way?
Yeah, okay. And I can see where that might come across as a little bit odd, right? First of all, our mutual friend said the same thing about you, and I'm glad for that introduction. Very grateful for it. So you look at the disruptions we go through in life, and a lot of times we push back against them, want things to be 100% smooth all the time. We're looking for, rainbows and lollipops and happy things, and it's just not that way, is it? Life is never that way. And in the fighter pilot world, it's a really difficult place to do well. It's a hard place to come to work every day. It's a really volatile environment. It's a very complex environment. There's so many moving parts, and you have these grand ambitions. You wake up, hey, today we're going to go dominate, and then you go out and fly and you get crushed. And early on, that's kind of painful until you realize that it's in getting crushed that we learn how to come back and potentially never get crushed again. It's in losing a little bit that we learn how to really win. And if we can learn to lose well together, like if we can fail properly as a team, it builds the bonds of trust. And there's a sort of an ethic that we have in the fighter space. I don't think that this has ever been codified necessarily, but it's certainly the way that we kind of practice business. When something falls apart in the middle of a mission, let's say we started off with 4 airplanes to go out there and fly and achieve dominance. And for whatever reason, we lose one of those 4 airplanes. Maybe the landing gear doesn't come up on takeoff, or the afterburner stops working or something. There's a maintenance problem that causes one of us to have to go home. So now we only have 3. Instead of saying, well, there's no chance now. I mean, we're that much more outnumbered. There's no hope. The way that we're conditioned to think is, hey, the story just got better. Like the story that we're going to tell about today just got better because we're against that much more of a difficult scenario, and yet we're still going to win. So now take that mentality forward. When I woke up from the colonoscopy in downtown Stuttgart, Germany, and I was advised by Dr. Meyer that he found a massive tumor in my lower colon. It wasn't, I mean, there was a no doubter. This was a bad tumor. We'll eventually find out that it had been growing for about a decade. When he told us this news, it was a bit disheartening. But interestingly, physiologically, at the moment of the news, I was starving because I hadn't eaten, in the previous day and a half or whatever the colonoscopy prep is. And my wife was 6 months pregnant with our fourth child, and she was starving because, she's pregnant. And she always was hungry. So the first thing that we did when we left Dr. Meyer's office was go have lunch, which is an odd thing to do when you've just been given potentially, a death. Like, we don't know if I've got days or weeks or months left to live. Could be a death sentence. And we sat there at lunch, and I remember it was a gorgeous day in February in downtown Stuttgart, Germany, which is an oddity because usually it's gray and dreary and rainy and cold. And it was just a gorgeous day. And we sat at this little cafe having lunch, having just gotten this diagnosis. And my wife and I came to the agreement that our story just got better. Now, it was impossible for us to explain to anybody how that's possible, right? Like, hey, guess what?
Yeah,
could be dead soon, but our story just got better. But it was a conscious mental approach that we both took, that we're not going to let this destroy us. Like, we don't have a lot of control here, but whatever we can control, and really it's our attitudes, we're going to do so. And so in that moment, when we agreed that our story just got better, we actually drew closer. And then as we went through the next few weeks, where we're going to do the surgery, who's going to be the surgeon, what is this going to do to you? We're already starting to think about retiring early to try to reduce stress. So like the career's collapsing, all kinds of things are falling apart. We spent so much time together thinking, talking, plotting, figuring things out, that our teamwork improved. And then we kind of did the retro thinking, the debrief, if you will, of, how did we get to this point? And one of the points that we concluded was that I had indications 10 years prior to finding the tumor that if I had acted on, potentially could have opened the door to, let's nip this thing in the bud. Okay. Potentially, I could have prevented getting the cancer that was now rocking our world. And instead of being angry about that, or depressed about the fact that this was an avoidable occurrence, what we both concluded was that we weren't practicing teamwork principles. I wasn't practicing teamwork principles to the degree that I was teaching them at work. So maybe an opportunity here is to focus on building a stronger family team. And that was part of our, our story just got better approach. And so we concentrated from the moment that we got that initial diagnosis on making the Teschner family team a real team and applying the principles that I'd been teaching back flying fighter aircraft to us. And I'm here to announce, we're 8 years post-cancer, and that's, again, nothing to do with me, all to do with the medical profession that rebuilt my lower body, all the help that I've been receiving throughout to try to get to some state of normalcy and dealing with, missing a lower colon. But the real win was Team Teschner stronger now than ever before. And I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah.
And if I had stayed on the path of moving up through the ranks, who knows how that might have played out with Team Teschner. And so we're still together, and we're better off for it. And that's why I say I'm grateful for this massive disruption. I would have never written the story that way. And yet the story is a pretty good one now because of everything that we experienced, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I'm glad you shared all that. Now that 8 years since the surgery and the removal of all that, were you able to get back into the fighter jet? What happened after that? Sounds like things, and I know a little bit about it, but what has happened since then? And I love this, man. I'm gonna use that. The story just got better. All right. I love that attitude. How did the story get better? Even after that, even, Team Teschner's good, the family's solid. What's going on now for you in this past 8 years?
Yeah, there was a period of Job-like circumstances after the two surgeries. GI surgeries, they're not fun. They don't do any good for you. I was essentially trapped near a bathroom at all times because my body was so undependable after the second surgery that I was worthless. My wife couldn't trust me with the kids because I couldn't take them anywhere because I had to be in the bathroom for hours, and so what do you do? I couldn't fly anything because I couldn't stay out of the bathroom. I couldn't fly fighter aircraft because my surgeon said you might rip apart from the inside at 9 times the force of gravity. And that did not sound sexy at all. So I joined a couple of small businesses is the very short story, neither of which ended up succeeding. Neither of which were industries that I necessarily wanted to be in, but at the time I didn't have a lot of choices. And I learned a lot about what it takes to navigate a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous battle space that's called business by watching a couple of them not do so well. And I reflected for a couple of years on like, why am I still here? Beyond taking care of my family, like why professionally might I still be here? And I realized that the benefit, the privilege, the grace, the gift that I was given, being in a uniform since I was 17 years old was that I did learn how to lead. I was constantly working on it. It was not that I was a great leader, for sure I wasn't. And looking back on my leadership at times, I realized how bad of a leader I was. But I also learned how to be a good teammate, and I learned what it takes to build a strong team. And I recognize that on the professional side, those gifts could be distributed back into the business space to help small businesses to succeed specifically so that we can help teams to thrive in the midst of disruption, which, by the way, has been nonstop since I've entered into this space, so that we can keep our economy strong. And that's important on a number of levels. You got to have a strong economy, in whatever country you're in, but specifically in the United States of America, in order to defend ourselves. Like we have to have a strong economy. In order for that outstanding young women and men that are out there protecting us to have the training and equipment that they need. So I found a way to help support the teammates that I'm no longer alongside by making sure that I'm doing my part to keep our economy strong. And so what a beautiful revelation that was as well. So I think on both sides, it's been a huge win. Would have never gotten there had it not been for the gift of a 10-year-old cancerous tumor in my lower colon.
Wow. That's good stuff. And then what you're doing now, so just to let people know, because I think that one of the benefits that I'd like to share with people is to let them know what you're doing. Hopefully everybody's inspired by listening to this, but in your words, it just keeps getting better. I know you speak and have some programs on this. Can you speak a little bit more to what you have to offer to in your contribution to keeping the economy going?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Eric. One of the things that I was privileged to teach when I was an instructor at the U.S. Air Force Weapons Instructor Course, the Fighter Weapons School, the Air Force version of Top Gun, was I taught how we practice positive forward-focused accountability, how we debrief our missions. And if there's one area that I've noticed deserves a little bit of attention, no matter where it is that I go, it's the way that we practice accountability. Too often it's a punitive thing. Hey, there's a bad outcome. Eric needs to be punished because the outcome's not good. Fix it, Eric. Don't ever let that happen again, Eric, kind of a thing. And in the Air Force, in the fighter squadrons, we use our accountability mechanism to coach each other up so that tomorrow is a better day than today. By digging into why did we do today the way that we did, it's our resilience strategy. It's the way that we're constantly improving. And it's such a special way that we look at accountability. And when it's done right, it really builds the bonds of teamwork. So that's what I always lead. And my assertion is, if you know how to practice accountability the right way in a human team, then you can lead anything. And so our programs are centered around practicing accountability the right way so that leaders learn how to really lead and teams become their best. And that's what all of our programs are centered on.
And boy, what a hot topic too during this time. Not only is it chaotic, not only is there a lot of change, some people don't want to be held accountable, but then there's some of us that want to lead better and being able to do that to our team. So that's a big benefit. And hopefully the folks listening here, I know, a lot of especially the companies that we work with would love to hear more about that, and looking forward to having you back and talking a little bit more about that. But I know we're running out of time, Cujo, and how do people get in touch with you? I mean, you have these programs out there, or what's the best way to get in touch and learn more, and maybe have them come into your companies or, consult with them?
Absolutely. The easiest way is our website. The company is VMAX Group. The website is vmaxgroupllc.com, VMAXGROUPLLC.com. And there's a good link there that'll take you in to book an appointment. And we follow up and talk about how we can serve, everything from inspirational keynotes down into the nitty gritty. We'll train you up on how to make these things come to life for you, and in short order, change a culture into one that embraces accountability, that sees it for the positive, the upside of it all, and helps you to win bigger, especially in a sea of constant disruption.
Got a lot of good quotes today that I'm wow. But yeah, this has been great. Just this little snippet, and I hope it's been inspirational. And I hope people will do something with it and take it into action. Before I forget, thank you for your service, sir. I really appreciate that. And I do appreciate the other men and women that are out there, especially right now in the hostile situations that we're in, putting their life on the line so we can do stuff like this and talk and laugh and have fun and spend time with our family. So appreciate that. Appreciate your service. That's all for today, folks. Hope you've been inspired. Please reach out to Cujo. Again, if you feel like coming back, you're always welcome. Love to have you back and talk more about the accountability piece, because I think that's a strong, hot topic right now for a lot of companies. But, we'd appreciate everybody if you'd hit that subscribe button as well as the bell icon there to get notified when we post next. If you'd like more information, you can get in touch with us at centerforvictory.com. And just remember, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, make this your best day yet. Take care.